Insights and inspiration from ordinary people having extraordinary impact.
It is really heartening to see the thriving community of coaches. I have met such fascinating people who are coaches out there, and each of them has some speciality that they deal with. And I love the fact that they are able to give time to dedicate to help people live their lives better. I truly believe that coaching is for everyone and everyone should have a life coach. I have with me on this video some interesting interviews that I've done with not only my dear guru Peter Redding, but several other coaches who have peers in this industry, and they're getting their insights to you as to what they believe coaching is and how it can benefit you. Let's take this ride. Peter, it's such a pleasure to have you here on the show, and Professional Insights with Priya is an initiative that I started a while ago to help people discover the kind of professions that there are available. And this is an endeavor to say, reach out to great people like you who achieve great success in the space of coaching. And I'd love to share what your insights might be with my audience. I'd like to first hear from you in your words. What is coaching according to you?
The easy answer to that is supporting a healthy, responsible individual to make more conscious choices. I mean, that's really the essence of it. Because when they can make more conscious choices, they make better choices. And therefore, have a happier life, a more successful career. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Great. And what, when you say coaching, it's sort of, there's a lot of confusion between what coaching is and what it isn't. Can you explain a little bit about that? What is coaching and what is it not?
Coaching is not giving advice. It's not consulting. It's not teaching someone life lessons. It's not therapy. It's not supporting people to go back and resolve past issues, hurts, abuses, etc. that we're clearly not licensed to do or trained to do as coaches. It's not parenting. It's not managing. It's not leadership. What it is holding a space, what I call a sacred space or a safe space, if you will, for an individual that is healthy, can come into the space that I create as a coach and have them do the work that they need to do. Coach does not do the work for the client. So clients will often come and say, well, I'm paying you as a coach, so you tell me what I should do. That's not the role of the coach. The coach is to, frankly, make them do the work and come up with the answer for themselves that they are committed to, that they have ownership of, and move forward in their life accordingly, and then take self-accountability. So we have the rare privilege, I think, as a coach to say, look at, man, you're resourceful. You're innately resourceful. Tap into that knowingness, that inner wisdom. And what do you know is the right answer for you in terms of these three options in front of you, if that's the case? And allow them to go to that place of, yeah, but I'm afraid, or I'm afraid to fail, or I'm afraid of moving forward, or I'm afraid of what other people might say. And that's okay. So are you willing and able to do that now, or do you want to not do that and do something else? Your prerogative. So that's, it really separates coaching from all the other helping professionals. And we don't replace those professionals, because sometimes I do need a consultant. Sometimes I do need a trainer. Sometimes I have to be the manager. So coaching has really come about to support the healthy individual to move forward in their life in a manner that supports them.
Peter, there's various types of coaching. As a profession, when someone is going to come into this space and say, oh, I want to consider being a coach, what kind of coaches are there to be in coaching?
Wow, that's wide open. I mean, I've trained coaches now, probably 2,000-3,000 coaches over the last 20 years. And some of them are coaching people in the United Nations. Some people are coaching entrepreneurs and business owners. Some are coaching educators. Some are working with people that are literally going through hospice, in the last week or 2 weeks of life, and the families that are connected with them. I just had a trainee in India, actually, that went back home and coached her 8-year-old daughter and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So the type of coach really depends more on who do you have passion for, who are you being called to serve as a human being, as a coach. So they can choose to be an executive coach to an 8-year-old coach. I mean, quite literally. Yeah, it's wide open, wide open.
Do you feel that there is a need for training? Is there a need for certification, accreditation? What is all of that? Because I know of some coaches who are not certified, who are not trained, self-proclaimed coaches. So what's the differentiator there, and what is your recommendation?
Well, I'm biased. I'll admit to that because I'm a coach trainer.
Yeah.
But I'm also a professional coach myself. And so before I got trained myself back many years ago, I thought I was coaching. In fact, somebody hired me to coach them. I was coaching an entrepreneur who was starting a business. And I thought coaching was about giving him my wisdom, my advice, my mentoring, because I'd gone through that process. I was a little bit older than he was. And so I gave him a lot of advice, if I look back on it and answer that question honestly before I got trained. And so what training I think does, and the simple answer to that is yes, I do believe there's training that's necessary. If you're a professional in any profession, then get certified. Be certified. And the certification, whether it's through my company or through any other accredited company, is one that says you take a deep dive into what exactly are you doing? Are you doing professional coaching to the best degree possible, or are you still sort of, quote, winging it and don't have a structure, don't have the tenets of the craft? Because I believe that coaching is a craft like most other things. And yes, you can have your own personality. Yes, you have your own style, all those kinds of things that make, your personality click and mesh with somebody else.
Right.
Know the basics, know the tenets of the craft. And by doing that, then you'll start releasing giving advice. You'll start releasing directing. You'll start releasing having to get someplace because you still have an executive mindset that says, hey, look, time is money. Let's get going. We got to get something done here. We got 10 minutes left. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's not a trained coach. That's an executive that think they're coaching, like me, like I did, 22 years ago. So it is, learn and know and hone your craft. Yes, get trained.
Okay.
Get certified, for crying out loud.
So my biggest privilege was to get trained by you, and I cannot even tell you, Peter, what a life-altering moment that was for me.
Thank you, Priya.
For me, you're my biggest and best ever guru, and I bow down to you.
No, thank you for that.
So one of the things that came to my mind while I was processing coaching as a career option, one of the challenges was setting up the coaching business. And what does it take to set up a coaching business?
I think there's 2 or 3 things that go into becoming a professional coach and setting up a practice or an independent coaching group. Number 1 is know how to coach. And what I mean by that is have the confidence that I am delivering value by holding this safe space, sacred space. Some people go, well, I'm not doing anything. That they're doing all the talking and I'm not doing much of anything except for kind of being here. So number 1 is be confident in knowing that you're delivering value and that you are actually a great coach. Number 1. Number 2 is to know who you want to coach. The earlier question was very revealing in terms of I can coach basically anybody from 8 years old to 98, quite literally, and from all walks of life, providing that you understand the language itself. I mean, if you're Hindi and that's the language, then you're not going to understand German, then don't try to coach German people. Now, the third thing is the individual that you coach have a passion for what they're up to in life.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I articulate this recently in the last 5 years is, who am I qualified to coach? Who am I highly qualified to coach? And it's not because of my expertise connection with them. Like, I'm not a finance guy and they're a finance guy, or I'm not an entrepreneur and they're an entrepreneur. That might help. But the sense is, do you understand their world? They're in their context. Do you understand the pressures of that place or stage of life or type of background or industry that they're happening to be in? Or have you been in that place before? It's what I call an affinity group. So yes, while I could coach teenagers going into university because I have been there. Can I coach university graduates going into their first career job? Yes, I've been there. Can I coach people that are setting up a business? Yes. But the passion that I have is working with world-changing visionaries, people that have this compelling urge, insatiable urge within them to inspire, instruct, inform millions of people and change society in some positive manner. That's who I have a passion for now. And so that's who I coach. And the fourth one is coach. Coach, have a coach, understand coaching, the power of coaching, the continuity of coaching, the rhythm of coaching. The rest of it will come in terms of, SEO and websites and articulation and blogging and videoing and all the rest of it the marketing trappings, I'll call it, that will come. But make sure you've got those first 4 steps in place.
If I may ask, that coaching has definitely got an impact on the coachee, what they go through, the experience, etc.
Sure.
What kind of impacts that coachees go through when they undergo coaching? How does it change their life?
Significantly, life-altering changes.
For me, it was, yes.
I think the key to that is how trusting is the relationship between coach and client, number one. And when it's really trusting and the client can go deep and the coach has the capacity to take them to a very deep place, just have what I call superficial coaching or tactical coaching, but deep down, a deep dive into who are you as a human being. Now, when you can touch that within a client, now there starts for me, it's always in there, but they've forgotten who they are. And so now it's a matter of aligning or realigning, continuing basis to, okay, so this is your project of the day. This is your topic of the day. This is the issue of the day. This is the dream of the day. This is the challenge that you're going through. So in the solving of that for yourself, to what degree are you now realigning back to who you were meant to be? When that takes place, everything changes. They become confident in themselves, their talents, their skills, their gifts that they bring into the world, whether it's with their kids, with their colleagues, with their superiors, with the people in their community around them. And so there can be, let me put it this way, there can be that deep fundamental shifting back to who they have always been meant to be. Wow. If you are coaching from a place of, I want them to be better at communication, I want them to be better at technical presentations, I want them to be more this, that, or the other, and it is driven by an external factor, then there's less change in the individual. And if whatever that change is that's desired by the sponsor that's paying for it, for example, if it's not part of their natural gifts and talents, then for my money, it's wasted money. Yes, they're going to fine tune something, but there's little or no joy in that for the client, and therefore it doesn't stick. And when I can support the individual to come back to who they really were designed to be internally, you'll get 100-fold back for that investment.
Obviously, you've met a variety of clients, a variety of students that you've trained. Can you tell me any such incident that, would become like a story or some sort of an example to share with people where they'd say that, yeah, wow, that sounds amazing. I'd love to be able to do something like that to someone's life. So some sort of a nice, interesting, memorable story that you'd like to share with us.
Boy, there's a lot of them. The one that comes to mind in the moment is a lady that I trained that went back to Los Angeles where she lived.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided to do some volunteer coaching. Where she volunteered was to work with kids that were homeless. Now, even homeless kids in the United States are required to go to school. So mom was under a shelter of some sort that was provided by the city. The child had been in 6 different schools, literally different locations of schools, because they didn't have any permanent address. So they kept on wandering around the city in different places, and the truancy officers, who are the people that are responsible for making sure the kids are getting to school, found this kid. And so he was considered dirty because his clothes were dirty. He was considered non-responsive because he had been in 6 different schools with no foundation at home. And so she came in as a volunteer to work with him to make sure that he got his homework done on Friday afternoons so that Monday morning when he went back to school, his assignments were complete. Okay. And this kid was, I think, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years old, that range. And so what she did is she spent an hour with him on Friday afternoons and just held a space for him to do his homework, literally. And he wanted to talk about other things, and she said, I'm here to support you, and when you complete your homework, then we can talk about anything you want. We can talk about sports, we can talk about girls, we can talk about trucks, we can talk about computers, we can talk about whatever your interests are. Dinosaurs, I don't know what that age is, but whatever he was interested in. What happened is that he was an incredibly smart kid, and in a matter of 4 weeks, okay, so there's literally 4 hours of coaching that she spent with this young fellow. He would finish his homework like in literally like 15 minutes. And so they'd have 45 minutes to talk about anything he wanted to talk about. At the end of 4 weeks, he looked her straight in the eye and said, I've never known that I was smart. No one's ever told me that I'm smart. But I find that when I'm working with you and you're coaching me to get, my work done, I realize that I am really, really smart. Now, this is after 4 hours. 4 hours that a kid that's, 8, 9 years old, that changes his life. His mother was so impressed with this progress that this coach did, is that she went back into this volunteer system and said, can I get my 14-year-old son the same support and have him work with the same person? And he had ADHD issues and some other issues, and the coach actually took his older brother on as well. So I don't know the end result of all of this, but here's an investment of 4 hours, a life has changed. I mean, it's that powerful.
So, Peter, I mean, I'm getting all emotional about this because this is the kind of impact that coaching has on people. And I've seen it myself, up front when I coach my clients, and I've, come away feeling so rich with just that, the gratitude or the change or the shift that they go through is the biggest reward for me. Like, I remember while you were training us, you would always call us the awesome coaches. And that's the thing. Everyone is awesome. And, what do you feel about that, Peter? When did you fall in love with that passion of just being awesome?
Thank you, first of all, for that recollection and that reflection and that experience. Because I think I think coaches are called to this. I don't think people go, let's see, what am I going to do for my rest of my career? I think I'll just be a coach. And I guess some people might do that, but 95, 99, 90, 99% of the people that I know in coaching love coaching and love supporting people to thrive. I mean, that's just, people will say, do I need a master's degree? No, you don't. Do I need a graduate degree? No, it's helpful in some cases, but the common denominator for requirement is, in my mind, do you love supporting people to thrive? Period. The answer to that is yes, then you're qualified to go be a coach for somebody. And the payoff is, I think it's a calling. In other words, I think that those of us that love to see people thrive are attracted to coaching as a profession. There's enormous payoff for the coach that is open to go through their own personal development, because some clients will hook you, will say, okay, so I'm going through this issue, and if it's unresolved within me that I haven't looked at or I've been afraid to look at, then it's going to tend to, what I say, hook, like a fish hook.
Yeah.
And so it's a tremendous, I think, privilege to be a coach, to support another human being. It's a privilege for my own self-development and my own self-mastery, which I'm a huge advocate of, as you know. And the more that I get to be comfortable in my own skin as a human being, and I can hold even a bigger space of compassion, love, support for my clients, which I do. I love and support all of their journey. Do it without judgment.
So without judgment, I think one of the most valuable things that I took away from learning coaching was, one, without being judgmental, and the second, just holding presence. If you can hold presence with somebody for those few minutes, or that half an hour or 1 hour of coaching, that's sometimes all they need. Someone to just listen without judgment, without a bias, without a sense of saying, like, hey, no, not that way. I'd suggest this way.
It's actually a huge part of coaching. I'm glad you actually brought that up as a singular focus here, is that I've done this with audiences. I said, okay, so everybody stand up. All right, so everybody stands up. How many people have somebody in their life that they can talk to about anything in their life? Anything. They can talk about religion, they can talk about sex, they can talk about fears, they can talk about whatever it is, and have somebody in their life that they can actually talk to about that. If you don't, then sit down. And 90% of the audience sits down, because there's nobody in their life that they can talk to about anything and everything. Okay, so then the last 10%, how many of you can go to that person or those people and know that you're not going to get advice, or you're not going to be judged for whatever it is that is maybe vulnerable or sensitive or what have you? And again, 90% of them sit down. It's a rare commodity that an individual has someone that, like you just described, a coach, of coming to, holding a safe space for them. You can talk about anything you want. It's your agenda. Number two, I'm not going to judge you for whatever foibles or vulnerabilities or sensitivities that you have for yourself around this issue, whatever that may be. And I'm not going to give you advice in terms of how to solve it. That's huge. That's rare. And rare things on the planet are very valuable. And so when young coaches come to me and say, yeah, but I'm not doing anything, I go, whoa, wow. Really? You're doing something that individual does not have anybody else in their life to go to and do the work that they want to do around this. I mean, and that's precious.
I can so relate to that, Peter. Thank you so much for sharing that once again. I've seen it in the class when I studied with you, and just having that being said again was wonderful. One last thing that I'd like to say here is that, Peter, as a profession, anyone who wants to join this profession, one of the fears is, how does one know the measure of success? What kind of monies? How much to charge? What are the fee structures like? Is there something that you'd like to share on that?
I'm happy to. It varies greatly around the world, and depending upon the type of coaching and the type of client that you're working with. There are some coaches that are earning, $500,000 a year coaching. Okay. There are coaches that are not making any money and are really delighted to be coaching people from the NGOs or nonprofit organizations, or their own kids, or their own, members in their company. Mm-hmm. So the range is huge. So in terms of monetary return, it's from $0 to $1 million, quite literally. The averages that I see going out there is that executive coaches might be earning, $200 to $250 an hour, put it down on an hourly basis. Coaches don't work on hourly basis. but the people that do research have to have a common denominator, so they use that. Again, the gratitude of knowing that I'm supporting an individual to live a more fulfilling life. I mean, that for me is the bottom line for me. Taking an individual that is feeling frustrated and not understanding why they're frustrated, or there's a sense of whole, HOLE, that is a missing part of them, so they keep on trying to work more or get more stuff or relationships or a third house, to try to fill that gap within them. And to see that individual then move to a place on their own accord, but through my coaching and through holding the space for them, of having a more fulfilled life of, wow, I'm happier. I'm loving my kids more. I'm having better, more important conversations with my spouse. My team members I'm falling in love back in love with my team members, of supporting them to grow and prosper and do the things that they're excited about. And that, for me, again, is that huge payoff for, I am so blessed that I get to do this work as a coach. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is that?
Wow. I'm sure there's going to be a load more people who are wanting to sign up for courses in coaching.
I hope so.
Profession, and also wanting to be coaches and help people, like you said, thrive. Beautiful word there.
Well, I'll say one last thing in terms of, if I could, and that coaching is just starting. It's been around for 25 years now, professionally, but we're just getting started. And coaches worldwide are learning how to go deeper by asking about the individual, not just the situation, not just the doing this, not just the task that needs to be done, not just the action steps, okay, let's go. But who do you want to be as a human being as you're going about your doing? And so that is, it's been around for 25 years, but not by very many of us. It's maybe 10, 15, 20% of the coaches that have been able to do that and willing to do that, go deep. The profession has taken a stand now recently in the last 3 years to say, to be a professional coach, to be a professional certified coach, you have to attend to two things. Mm-hmm. One is the situation, right? Yeah, let's get stuff done. You don't want to ignore that part of it. But number two is, who are you as a human being as you're going about doing your life, as you're going about doing your doing? And so this idea of a deeper dive into the individual is getting more roots, deeper roots in our profession. And that I am loving, absolutely loving, because situations change. But if you can root it down to the core of the individual and have them be a better human being, then the world literally is a better place. How do you like that?
Wonderful. I love that. Who are you being? So when a person is, for example, comes to you for a coaching session and says they're angry about something that's upsetting them, that's bothering their life. So the usual question is, say, who are you being when you're being that way?
For me, it's a choice. I mean, they may think, I'm being angry because my boss did this to me, or my wife said this to me, or my kids are acting out, or, they're blaming it on something external. So in that case, then I can remind them, because they're resourceful human beings, if they're coaching with me, so it sounds like you're being a victim here. And so it sounds to me like you're blaming others for the way that you are acting or reacting to something. What about that is continuing to serve you, if at all? And have them do a reflection internally to say, yeah, I react to that because I think I'm being dishonored. So now what do you want to do with that? That's a journey that is in some cases, a tough journey for an individual, because they're not used to doing that and doing it in a safe space where they're not going to get judged. And when that can happen, deep things change with the individual. But again, it's making them do the work. It's not me judging it. It's an observation, not judging. It's like, you can continue being that if you so choose. That's your prerogative, not mine. But my observation is that you're being dictated by external factors. So what's that about? Have them do the work. And they know me well enough to say, and you can continue being angry. That's perfectly okay for me.
You will not get hooked, like you say.
No.
Hey, stop that.
That's right. I teach my students that there's every time I hear a hook, from a client, it's like I hear Jaws theme music in the back of my head. Dun 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 dun.
I hear the Jaws music. I love that. Beautiful, Peter. Thank you so much. It was
Oh, Priya, you're awesome. You are so awesome. You're an awesome coach, an awesome interviewer. You're an awesome human being. Thank you for doing this and inviting me into your space. Love it.
Oh, it was a blessing for me, and it's going to be a blessing for many, many others.
Yeah.
God bless you, Peter.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Big hug. You're my favorite person, Peter Redding. Bye-bye for
Thank
now.
you, Priya. Bye-bye.